Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Well, things never go quite as planned, do they? I went for my ECG, which was fine, except for the fact that the doctor wasn't available. So the technician did everything and produced the ECG, did another blood pressure check, which was quite different to Monday's and quite a bit higher. It could have been white coat syndrome. But nonetheless, I got told that a doctor would phone me later, which has just happened now, with the ECG. And it's relatively serious, shall we say. I've got to go around the pharmacy now and get medication, which, if I can remember the words, were some sort of blocker, beta blocker or something, and some blood thinners. And I'm getting booked in for a full bloods test on Tuesday, the earliest it can be done, because obviously we're looking at a weekend followed by a bank holiday this weekend, so otherwise it would have been Monday. So because they want to do a thorough check via the bloods to actually find out if there's anything else underlying. But yeah, the guy kept saying, you know, we'll get you on some medication as fast as possible, blah, 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 to avoid you having a stroke. And he used those words several times, enough to sink in. So we won't be running round the block, we won't be climbing any mountains, and we won't be heading off on a swimming expedition across the channel. We will be doing as little as possible. So it's a good job you get the proper advice before you start making your own plans. However, I can still implement the weight loss. I said, given that I'm overweight and everything, is it okay to change diet related things to help with the weight reduction? I said, yes, you can do that as soon as you possibly can, and because that will help. That can only be compounding issues, not helping anything. So so we got, first time in my life I've got to have medication. I mean, there's people I know younger than me that rattle if you shake them. They're on so many pills, so I've got away with it lightly, but it sounds like this is certainly more serious than I was expecting. But it sounds like it can be sorted, if you see what I mean. Worst case scenario is certain medications might have to be taken from now on, you know. He didn't like it when I said I can't swallow tablets. What do you mean you can't? I said I can't swallow tablets. Tablet goes in there, gallon of water, it's still sat there. So unless it dissolves, I haven't taken the tablet. So he's looking into liquid form and or chewy tablets, or tablets that can be crushed and taken with, you know, a spoonful of yogurt or something. So that's being looked at. But literally in an hour's time I've got to walk round the corner to the pharmacist, which I will probably drive given what he's just said, even though it's not far. It's in the same village as where I live anyway, but and they'll hopefully have my medications ready with instructions to start taking that. That's all I need. And obviously for my blood tests I've got to get to Bournemouth Hospital. Do you know there is no patient parking at that hospital? You have to pay. There's no place you can park because you've got an appointment. You just have to pay like everybody else. So I might cheat and park half a mile up the road and get the bus to their car park, so I don't have to pay. I hate paying to park, it really annoys me. Anyway, minor distractions. At the end of the day, this sounds a bit more serious than I thought it was going to be, and at the moment I'm just going to take it easy. I'm not going to fully implement my diet changes, but I'll give you an outline, because I want to go over these with Tony, my son, as well. But lots of people have said about, you know, certain types of spread and butter and this, that and the other. Well, we've resolved that problem straight away. I'm dumping bread. Well, without bread, I'm not having toast for breakfast, therefore I don't need spread or butter, and the huge dose of marmalade, which is virtually pure sugar, goes out the window. So that breakfast has gone. That gets replaced with a couple of eggs. They can vary, you know, they can be poached eggs, we can have scrambled eggs, but breakfast will be eggs. Lunch will be fish, and tea will be meat. We will be dumping potatoes and cutting, I know this is going to sound bad, but I do actually know what I'm doing. We will be cutting down on quite a few types of vegetables. So we are going for the meat, fish and eggs type. I won't call it a diet, but it is technically, I suppose. So high protein, low carbs. But not excluding carbs altogether. And there are selective vegetables that you can choose where you still get your vegetable intake, but they're very low carb vegetables as opposed to high starchy things like potatoes and stuff. So that's the general idea. We've got zero fat yogurts, which I already have. I don't have very many, but we'll make sure we get one of those a day. And nuts. So lunch might, I've changed my shopping that's going to arrive on Monday, despite it being a bank holiday. They still deliver on bank holidays. I'd forgotten it was a bank holiday. So I've ordered quite a lot of what I call wet fish, so sort of fresh fish, not frozen, and some cling film, some chicken breasts. So it's basically lean meat, white meat, and fish, and some cling film. Because most of the fish comes in packs of 2. Well, I can open them up, put them in some cling film into single portions and put those in the freezer. So they'll still effectively be wet fish. And you don't lose much goodness by freezing fish quickly. So, and then, yeah, for lunch we'll have, a portion of fish. I don't eat much for lunch anyway, but that will be much better for me. And perhaps have a small handful of nuts as a pudding. And then for tea we have our meat, which can be either pork chops or chicken, omelettes, with some added meat and things like that. And we can get going on that. And the alcohol side of stuff is recommended no more than 14 units a week. Well, a bottle of red wine is about 10. So if I cut that down to 1 bottle a week, which is with my Saturday and Sunday meals, which will be my treats, yeah? So those will be my nice meals. That's when I'll still have a steak and perhaps have some fries with it once a week, small portion, because it's my treat meal, if you see what I mean. So that cuts the alcohol right down, and I'm going to instantly switch to decaf coffee instead of half and half. I'm going to try it and see how it works. Basically, it's I've already got. I run 2 jars. I use Kenko coffee because their decaf is good decaf, and I mix half and half, and that's what I use. Well, I've still got like half a jar of the decaf that hasn't been mixed yet, so I will try making my coffee from that and see if it's acceptable. If it's acceptable, then we switch to decaf coffee. So those are the plans. We will not be doing any exercise until cleared to do so, and I haven't been. So that's the picture. Not good. So I came away from the medical centre okay, because I haven't actually had any results, had I? But the 3 blood pressure readings she took today were quite a bit higher than the one on Monday. Now, she took 2 readings on Monday, and the reading she wrote down and went on my report is quite a bit lower than it was today. Also, my cholesterol reading, the doctor said was a random reading and not based on a proper full-blown test. So he said don't read too much into that low reading. It could actually be higher than that. So there we go. So we're into getting poked and prodded and having holes made in us, then waiting for the results from that. More appointments. Yeah, do without all this, but you know, the only good side, I suppose, is I've got away with it this long. So you know, that's where we are, and I will give you updates as and when I get them. But at the moment, as I said, the only update today will be what's written on the label of the medication, and you don't need to know that. I won't even know what it means. All I want is the instructions, when and how much, you know, and we'll go from there. It's all a faff. It's all a flipping nuisance. But yeah. Anyway, I shall see you next time. And don't get all concerned and worried and everything. I don't think I'm going to keel over. But the doctor did put an air of urgency on this, given the ECG and the results from, you know, my test this morning. He had a sense of urgency. He said, I need to get you on these medications now. Yeah? To avoid you having a stroke. That sounds quite urgent to me. Good stuff. Great. Yeah, so we will drive round there, we won't walk. Perhaps I'll sleep downstairs and not go upstairs tonight. I joke, which I shouldn't do really. It sounds pretty serious. But we will go and see the people who hopefully know what they're doing and get the advice and get things going, get some progress towards something workable. You know, I mean, the guy did say, he said, it might be that after, you know, you get some weight down, we get you on some medication for a while, there might come a time when you can come off the medication because everything's settled down again. But he said, you know, that might not happen, so don't rely on it. So we shall see. Oh, what a faff. Anyway, I shall get this processed and posted, and then get round the pharmacy and get the gunk. No, I hate having to take medication. It annoys me. Still, it sounds like it's important, so we'll get it done. And, see if we can get any results. But yeah, I think the cholesterol reading on Monday might have been a bit misleading, according to the doctor, because it's not a proper test, if you know what I mean. So we will go from there. I mean, if the high blood pressure is partly as a result of high cholesterol, then that can be worked on, can't it? You know, once you know what a problem is, you can go to work on it and do what you can. But so we shall get going on changing what I eat. That's not going to happen immediately. I'm one of these that refuses to waste food. So I've got some of my food that I've always had that I need to use up. Yeah. So things like my breaded fish. This is proper seafood fish. There's a text just come through. It's proper fish. It just happens to be in breadcrumbs. But because of the breadcrumbs, there's obviously some flour involved, and it would be better if that fish wasn't coated in breadcrumbs, but I'm certainly not wasting it. It's perfectly good fish. We just cut the potatoes out that go with it. That'll help. Perhaps have 2 pieces of fish and cut the vegetables right down, unless they're the right sort. So yeah, things can be adjusted. I've still got some curries in the freezer. Well, they're okay to eat. That's chicken, you know. There's a few veggies in there, so, you know, I can use those up. And we'll see how we get on. I need to make some room in the freezer anyway to get all this new stuff in that's going to arrive on Monday. But I quite like the idea of having a sensible lunch, you know, a nice piece of fish. That will be, I'll say pan fried, but technically it's not fried, it's just cooked in a pan. My frying pan that I've got is so good it doesn't need oil, yeah? So I don't have to load up with loads of oil and things like that. I can just let it cook naturally, very slowly in the pan, so nothing added. Yeah, so yeah, it's all a faff, isn't it? Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.